How's it going, everyone? My name's Leon, and today I've been replaced by this little avatar dude. Since the release of the PlayStation 5 is coming ever close, I thought we would take a moment to go over my top 5 PlayStation 4 games that I personally have played in the last, I'm going to say, I think it's 7 years. Now, I want to preface this by saying this is totally my list. It's more of a casual video. You don't even really have to listen to my opinions, but I want to go over some of my favourite PS4 games and why I love them so much. This generation has had some of the best games of all time, and in fact a very large amount of my top 5 games of all time are also on this list. I'm going to start off with some honourable mentions. I didn't finish every game that I've played on the PS4, and some of them really deserve to be finished, those being The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt alongside Persona 5, and the last two didn't quite make the list, but awesome games. Definitely go and pick them up. Horizon Zero Dawn, and then Spider-Man. Now, the final honourable mention is something that only just didn't make the list, and that's The Last of Us Part 2. Now, this game for me, solid gameplay, probably top tier in anything I've ever seen, animations wise. There was a new inventive narrative structure that changed the formula of games, and whilst a lot of people didn't like it, I loved it and I applauded it for this choice. But it was overextended, in my opinion. It went on for a little bit too long, and the pacing and the way around the narrative could have been changed, in my opinion. So that's why it didn't quite make the list, because at number 5 we've got Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I literally just finished this a couple of days ago. What a fantastic game. Groundbreaking, in my opinion, for what it did for the open world structure. The whole way it broke the formula of open world with the guiding wind, the foxes and the birds, distracting you from the game, but not with markers and waypoints. It did it so fluidly. I cannot do anything but applaud it for that. I was completely sucked into this open world. It has a haunting story with probably the best endings of acts that I've ever seen. Act 2's ending and Act 3's ending blew me away. We've got tears, emotion, badassery. It just so freaking good. The gameplay, solid, smooth, challenging at harder difficulties, and it's so addictive. I could just put this game on and just play it for 7 hours straight, and it was like no time had passed at all. Number 5, Ghost of Tsushima. Now, number 4, and this is something that's going to surprise a lot of people, but if you know me personally, it's not going to be a surprise at all, and that's Destiny. I'm going to put the first one in here because it's the one I put the most hours into, and the one that I thought had the better content, but Destiny 2 also comes in for all the same reasons. It was something new for me. It was my first MMORPG. I know it's not really that, but it kind of is, and it was the first thing that I sunk thousands of hours into. I raided with people, I made some amazing friends, and then in Destiny 2, I became a Sherpa. I passed people through the raids, I gave people their first raid experiences, and I helped people enjoy this game, and it just has so many happy memories for me. It has to be on this list. The gameplay, the gunplay, I'm going to use specific words here. The gunplay, amazing. Each gun has a unique way that it shoots. Can't even word it properly. It's so satisfying to get new weapons. Things like the Thorn, Galahorn, Hard Light, anything like that. Just so dope. It's had its wayfalls. It has a lot of wayfalls, but the game itself just amazing, and I fucking love it. Number 4. These next 3 are like really similar and really close together. Number 3, God of War. God of War was my most hyped game probably of all time, behind The Last of Us Part 2, and it just lived up to those expectations so well. The first moments you're in the game, you're greeted to these fantastic, realistic graphics, beautiful soundtrack, and then you're thrown headfirst into this Norse world, this world filled with mythology and with stories. It's just so good. I'm not the biggest fan of the other God of War games, but this one just enthralled me. It's one of the only games that I've ever sat down and finished so quickly without many breaks at all. It was so amazing. It was a story about family and about sacrifice and about facing your demons and the past. It had these action set pieces that were just so dope. The stranger fight is one of the coolest fights in video games that I've ever played. But then it also had these quiet moments, these moments of bonding between Kratos and Atreus that I just cannot wait to see more of. Phenomenal, phenomenal game. Let's not forget that beautiful axe gameplay is one of the most satisfying game mechanics ever created. Number 3, God of War. Number 2 and number 1 are in so close contention. It's actually ridiculous. But number 2, I went for Nier Automata. This game blew me away. There was amazing action, amazing plot twists. The story was intelligent and complicated, and it didn't explain itself. You could analyze it. The way it unfolded was just very different to anything I'd ever experienced before. But a fantastic game, a fantastic story. The gameplay, fluid, satisfying, and varied. You had so many different choices in what you could do in this game. And I am kind of lost for words with Nier Automata, because I remember back playing it and I was so enthralled by it that I didn't even have time to really think. It questioned you as a person and what you're being told to do, much akin to what something like BioShock did. Finally, I forget to point this out every time. The music, the soundtrack. Oh my god. It is the only soundtrack I have ever purchased physically on vinyl. I paid over £100 for it, because it's a fantastic soundtrack. It's amazing. Nier Automata, number 2. And finally, in this convoluted video about my opinions, where I just rant quickly about my favorite PS4 games, this is going to come as no surprise for anybody that knows me, but number 1 is Bloodborne. Obviously, it's the game I've finished the most. It's the game I've probably put the most hours in that isn't a multiplayer game. It's the game I started streaming. It's the game that I streamed for a very long time. It was my first platinum that I was super proud of. Bloodborne just holds this place in my heart. It was my first Souls game. It was my first hard game. And, Bloodborne is just a thing. It's just a thing. The gameplay is so tight and so rewarding when you succeed. You go through this game and you learn over time and you get better and better and better. And as an example of this, I beat the final boss of the game first try, and never in my whole life of playing video games have I ever felt I had progressed more than beating Gurnham first time on my first run, because I had learned how the game worked and I'd gotten freaking good at it. And that was just so satisfying. We won't talk about when I spent 10 hours on Gurnham the second playthrough. Replayability. This is something that a lot of games don't have, but Dark Souls and Bloodborne have this to a next level. And I'm still playing Bloodborne. I'm still going back and doing new runs and new strategies, using new weapons and doing challenge runs. I'm going to be streaming a Blood level 4 next year. This game just has so much replayability, and every time you play it, there's something new to find. There's a new enemy, there's a new way of killing something that you didn't know before. There's a new shortcut that you may not have found, and you slowly pick apart the amazing world building and what they've created here into a big picture. It's a story that you need to piece together over multiple playthroughs and over watching people like Vati explaining it. Bloodborne, well-deserved top spot. And that's it, guys. That's my top 5 PS4 games that I've played. Now, there's probably a lot on here that I've completely missed. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a example. I haven't even played it. There's a lot of other games that I haven't even touched, but this console generation has been such an amazing roller coaster. It's produced some of the best games that we've ever seen, and I can't wait for the next one. I hope you've enjoyed my opinions. Let's carry on the discussion down below. Let me know what your favorite games are, what you thought of mine. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. I'm sorry there's no camera on this one. I'm sorry it's been ranty. But I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.